Budget workshop to order. Thank you. Thank you. Can we help with that? I think so. I think we advertised it at 5, so we can go ahead and do that. We'll, as they come in, if we need to brief the other commissioners, we will.
I can, and then you can go.
Go with whatever you want to do first.
Well, what I'd like to say is tonight, we should conclude our departmental review of the general fund expenses, and we are at a point now where we're ready to present you with the proposed general fund budget for 2019. And we'll start first by going over the departments that we've yet to go over.
Okay.
Which would include the administrative budgets, which are the city commission, city manager, our general government, and our finance department. And then we also didn't get a chance to review our pool budget, simply because we actually pulled the pool out. It was included in the buildings and structures budget over the last few years. And historically, before then, we had it segregated, and we decided, staff felt like it was more efficient to have it separate so that we didn't have to pull, that we didn't have to go through various budget items just to see how much the water was, as an example.
Okay.
So what we've done is we've separated it.
Okay, so we want to start with that one first?
So if you would like, we're going to start with the pool.
Okay.
And you should have before you, there's a folder that has the pool budget, the departmental budget inside. And this one's going to be, it's not complicated, but there really isn't anything to compare it to because we did pull it out of the budget and we put it in Department 8083, which does have some history in it, and that history is the summer camp, and we no longer provide those services, so we decided to use the same department. So if you look at our total personnel, we show a 42% decrease, and that's simply because we did not budget for summer camp counselors for 2019. So these salaries that total $30,356 is not salaries. This is salaries in your FICA and your MEDI. Mm-hmm. That's the cost of the lifeguards for this pool season that we typically have. And also included in there would be the summer camp
The pool.
that we do through the YMCA.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
where they also cover that cost of the lifeguard services.
Okay.
And then there's contractual services. You'll see that we have literally increased them. $5,500 basically represents right now we contract the maintenance of the pool out to an individual who actually cares for the pool, and that's what that amount of money represents.
Okay, and this is going year-round, maintenance?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the service and the chemicals?
No, it's only the service.
Okay.
So if we get to the operating supplies, you'll see there's $53,100 included in there. The biggies in there, there's $31,000 included for your utilities. And what I neglected to mention from the get-go is that we also When we talk about the CS Mont pool, we also include the spray park in that. So that would be the water. Most of that would be the water that it takes to run those two facilities.
And that's
then-
under operating expenses, you said, Sherry?
Yes, the bulk
Okay.
of that you will see will be your $31,000 for utilities. And then we'll get to the chemicals are approximately, we estimate that it takes about $14,000. That's how much it's taking right now to take care of our pool on a year-round basis to keep it blue or keep it clear, normal. Is about 14,000 is what we anticipate and what we've included in the budget.
With the, it costing $5,500 to take care of the pool, does that need to be bid out? Since it hasn't been done in so long, to
can.
make sure that,
We could certainly do that. We do a request for proposal.
yeah,
We can certainly do that.
see what the cost of
Now,
it
is that the splash pad too?
Yes, sir. This budget that we're talking about, it incorporates what we've done is we have segregated the CS Mott pool and the spray park. Over the last few years, I would say over the last 3 years, they've been included in what we call our buildings and structures. And then I think the spray park was even included in the playground section. It was very hard for staff, for current staff, to deal with that. So we felt like it was more efficient to segregate it and see how much those costs were on their own.
Well, and certainly transparency.
So we've separated
You know,
it.
it's,
But we have included them because they really do go together, the
Right.
spray park and the CS Mont.
So
that's what
that's
this-
the $90,000.
Yes, sir. That's the annual budget.
And what's the income?
The income is not very much. I didn't, I should have. It's included in your packet here. Let's see. Let me find your services. I should have isolated that out. It was just. Let's see. Services. We have basically for admissions, we anticipate $7,000 for normal admissions. And also $7,000 for swimming lessons. And then $4,500 for lifeguard services.
So that's 18,000.
Yeah, roughly, yes.
You won't find very many swimming pools in the state that are 10 foot deep anymore. So you're paying to maintain a lot of water.
No, I understand that. I remember when it was built.
Yeah, well, we had the high dive, we had some good times on it, but now we don't have those things.
And we do rent out the splash pad pavilion every once in a while. I mean, that's also included in your revenues, which you have before you that we haven't discussed those yet. But that's like we've got budgeted like $500 for that. It's if someone wants to have a birthday party there and actually utilize the little pavilion.
Okay.
so the proposed budget is $90,956.
Yes, and that was included in the recreation. We went over the other recreation budgets, and we did deduct the utilities and what have you out of there. It was kind of hard for us to basically we pulled as much as we thought, but we decreased from the other to set this budget up from the structures and the playground. And as of right now, we don't really have, we did have a budget that was for programs only. Since we have gone the route of the YMCA, we don't have a budget that simply says programs. That's for any events. We do have in promotional activities included. As a reminder, we have promotional activities in our recreation budget that the youth center is in, and that would be to put some kind of activity. It could be utilized for that.
Well, what does the YMCA cost us?
The use of our buildings
The use of our buildings,
and
that's it.
facilities and the cleaning. Yes, sir.
But they also pay us, that 7,000 that's coming in, is that from the swimming lessons that they paid us
Yes,
for?
part of it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
What?
They paid us for,
Well, we actually send them a bill for the actual cost. It's not, we don't make any, there's not a profit that's involved, but they do pay for the lifeguard services for summer camp.
Okay.
For the
Which
time
is
for the
like-
time that they're there,
So the city pays,
the camp's there.
the city pays the lifeguards and then they
Yeah.
just reimburse?
They reimburse us, we bill them, and it's about $84 a session.
And we can't charge a administration fee for writing a check? It's time.
I'm not really sure,
Money. You know, they're making money.
We could.
the city
mean,
manager.
we-
It's only fair.
right, and we should look at
that
that.
out with them.
Yeah, yeah. But Sherry, just to make sure I'm understanding this correct, we've got this for the utilities. That includes the water and the electric for the pool and the splash pad.
Yes,
And that was running about $31,000 a year.
right.
Okay.
That's what it should be. I mean,
Okay,
I'm
well,
not gonna say
right.
that it has, because as we know, we have had to, we monitor the use of this spray part
Mm-hmm. Right.
because it could use a lot of water if you did not monitor it.
Okay,
As of the day, we should be back on our restricted time.
okay.
I think it was 2 mornings,
2 mornings a week.
2 mornings a week, and then Saturday and Sunday.
Okay. I thought that we actually just stopped the water going out during the day, at certain days.
We did. That's what I mean. The
Okay,
splash
all
pad
right.
will be open 2 mornings for the stay-at-home.
Right.
Homeschool.
The water will be running, right?
Right, but
Okay.
it's limited.
Right.
I think it's 3 hours, two mornings.
Okay. And I know that there's been several days when I've gone by there and the water's just going and nobody's there. I know we check it, but we still should continue to monitor that system and maybe come up with a better way, because I know it has timers at certain times. It's supposed to stop the water, but it's sometimes been at night and it was going. So
Yeah, they break sometimes, and
Are those like a
Jam
5-minute
on
timer?
those.
I'm not quite sure how many minutes, but
yeah, could,
I've even been there because I have too seen and wondered about that.
yeah.
When families are leaving or parties are breaking up and the kid runs through there and hits the buttons on everything before he goes out the door, they get in the truck and then you drive by and steal them.
Can we just go back, Sean, can you just go back and look at those timers? Just, you know it's going to start slowing down, but when you look at that, we're looking at $2,500, $2,600 a month utilities. And I guess the bulk of that's probably water.
It is.
Yeah.
And basically that amount is based on a review. We literally went through the utility bills ourselves
Right,
of what we've been doing.
okay.
And we do
Also-
know from experience, as you guys know, if you don't monitor it, of course, it will be way more than that.
what hours would you guys prefer Saturday, Sunday?
I think, staff should look at it and give us some recommendations so that we can look at it. I mean, especially maybe even talk to some of the families and see who's using it, maybe some of the city staff, the families, but I'd like to see you guys come back with a recommendation for us to review.
What's it on now, Sean? 10 to 6?
You're right, through the regular days, but now it's.
I've been there at dark and it's running, at 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. I've seen the water running, so, I thought it was just for the summertime, so I didn't say anything. So, but, and it should be, because kids are still out at that time, 8 o'clock, they're probably still out. But if you guys could look at that schedule and come back and make some recommendations for the winter months.
Well, there needs to be some kind of a timer,
Yeah,
that blue.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
all-
it stops completely, right.
And
There's
you
a time
can't
on the main
Yeah.
override it.
Right.
The
you
crowd
know, you
thins
just-
out after 4.
You just spend the
when you
money
drive
to
by in
put
the
the
evening.
right kind of timer in there.
On Saturdays, they're
10
usually
to
there.
4, you'll find.
Yeah, but on Saturday, on the weekends, you're there. There's people there late, almost at dusk, still, finishing up their party, their birthday party or something.
There's a party,
Yeah.
yeah.
City.
So we could look at that, yeah. I'm sorry.
They're not city.
Well, and some people, and that's, we're not charging, so whether it's city or non-city
I
resident, they're
understand that.
they're benefiting from the
There
the
is some
park.
wear, there is some wear.
Right.
showing On the splash pad, the area needs to be painted and it needs to be cleaned and re-epoxied.
Mm-hmm.
There's some cracks in it that need to be repaired. Some of the fixtures are
Really?
breaking, showing.
Yeah, and I see you have some funds in here for repair and maintenance.
So that's basically 6 years.
He has,
Well, that's how long we've
we
had
have
it.
basically $2,000
Right.
set aside in there, but that's for anything that may happen.
I was told just right after we put this together that we're gonna have to redo some of the plumbing in the filter room because
So what you're saying is this is an inaccurate budget?
I think it's the best we could do right now. But I
Okay.
think
Mayor, I got a question.
It's not gonna meet the need all the way.
Okay.
If those
Go ahead,
repairs,
sure.
I was wondering, Al and Commissioner, at some point, should we enter everything in from the pool and have the splash pad open when the pool's open? And even may look at charging for the splash park at some point. So I know that other parks all over, these water parks that are costing us a tremendous amount of money. Everywhere, they're having a minimal charge to it. Saying maybe not having the gates, but, I don't know. My question is the pool year all around? I mean, when it's winter, nobody's using the splash pad anyway. When it's 30 degrees, I wouldn't think, right?
No,
It's
no.
noticing during the summer, right? Should we make it, this is just an idea, to make everything come in through the pool, close those gates, and then when the pool's closed, the splash pad is closed.
but then what about all those, up until the 1st of November? We've seen it be hot all the way till the
But
end of
is
October.
the
Those
pool
parents,
open at the time?
But what about those parents who have kids at home, young kids, who may utilize that?
I'm just saying it's a costly
And I think
item.
that brings up
mean,
a good
something just
point.
to- just
It brings,
to
brings
food
up
for
a good
thought.
point, and
Food
I
for
think in the recommendation, I think we need to look at, during the summertime, while the pool is open, that there might be opportunities to while during some of those times, but I'd like for staff to look at that and come back with.
Well, you gotta come up with a charge too.
Yeah, I think you have to start that at the beginning of the summer.
Right, but
And
we've
while
got,
we have lifeguards there, we could lock the gates on each end. You could charge everybody to have to come through the entrance of the pool and walk over. And
You can still have
No,
parties.
people are paying
You can still have
taxes.
parties. I mean, parties, I'm not saying not to have parties. You can-
non-city residents or.
You can still have parties, you may have to charge for the party, like we do.
I don't know if I've never.
I'm not restricting it at any means, I
That
just,
would be easily done to
Well,
close the outer gates and put a gate and sit there and think.
and it's seasonal. It's
Just
not
food for
something.
thought.
It's seasonal. It's not all the time. So.
You probably could have more activity in the pool through the year farther if you had the budget to keep a lifeguard or two on for additional
Well,
times.
and-
Because we're hot a lot, but we only use it for
I brought that up
6 or 8
last year.
weeks out
Right,
of the year.
and I think that the issue from
What?
in the past, and you guys can correct
Is
us.
that right? 6 or 8 weeks.
Well, you use it from Memorial Day to Labor Day? Or
So
a little
what
past.
what we need
Many
to
days.
what we need to look at is that we were told that we didn't have lifeguards after kids went back to college. So if we have lifeguards year round in the city that we've hired already and are still in the city, we need to look at that, because the pool should be open if we have local folks who are lifeguards and we're going to maintain it all year round. That was the other issue why we didn't have it open year round. It's because we stopped maintaining it for the winter months. So I think, Al, when you look at it, we need to look at those issues, since we're keeping it open year round. I mean, keeping it clean year round. Lifeguards, if we have lifeguards that live within the city, or lifeguards that want to come do this work, through, I don't know, through September, October, whenever it's still hot, then I think we
May
should.
to
and-
October
yeah,
would be
yeah.
your month.
Or
That's what it used to be.
yeah. And so I think we need to look at that and change it up to bring in more revenue for the pool.
Well, that's what I brought up last year, even just to keep it clean for somebody that's got a birthday in November when it's 90 degrees. They can rent the pool
Right,
to pay for the lifeguards.
right. But the issue was that the lifeguards, we were told, I was last year, that lifeguards didn't live, were in college
Well, a
kids.
few of them are teachers.
And
So-
some of them are high schools.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a few of them are
So,
teachers.
so I think we need to look at that and change it up.
Okay.
If there was an opportunity put out there that way, you may get some that would get certified that aren't teachers, aren't students, or something like that, that would certify themselves to work the pool as a part-time job or something
Right.
like that.
Sherry?
I would suggest that if we do that, we want to make sure we spread the word, which I'm sure that we will, because also in the past it hasn't, and we do have the
Once school
stats available.
starts.
I did not bring them in with me, but another problem that we have is that the stats, the attendance to the pool, it drops off significantly. I mean, very significant. Once school starts,
Absolutely.
historically it has been almost nil. So that's
And
something
football
else
season
too.
and all the other stuff.
Yeah, the middle school doesn't get out of school until 3:45.
But even on the weekends, it had just dropped.
It's late. It's later than normal.
I mean, it's
But
worth a
then,
try.
we
but-
struggle,
I think
we struggle
it's-
with marketing.
Right.
Yes.
Because there's a whole demographic out there that we could reach out to while those kids are in school to do their water aerobics and a number of other things. It's
think
just
we're
the
gonna-
marketing, how successful are we gonna be in the marketing?
Right, and even if it's just open on Fridays and Saturdays, or Friday nights and Saturdays, I don't know, or Sundays, yeah. So, Al, if you guys will look at that and maybe talk to the existing lifeguards and see that we could do a test run and just see how it works out. If we don't have a demand for it, then, but if we could have, like Christine says, aerobic classes and stuff like that, it's just having someone to teach a class. That's been the other issue.
I was going to say, I would personally love that.
And there are a lot of people who are doing rehab that are looking for the
Yes.
water aerobics to go to, so I would go myself.
They have
Sherry,
them-
I'm with
they
you.
But you have to
them
have
in
an
the
instructor to
daytime
do
when
that,
we're
and
at
that's
work.
one, some of the
I'm
issues.
wondering, is there just an absolute requirement, necessity here among us as we're speaking, that size of pool be there? Or if there was a funding mechanism that could come across a grant or something to take the big old one out and have a new pool built in there?
I think that all
That
grant
would-
all grant opportunities should be looked at, and we're looking at you guys to
Put
bring
that-
us,
put a
to
6
bring
or
us
8
as,
foot pool in there instead of
if
a
you
10
could,
foot pool
if you
with a
would
new
bring us
system.
as recommendations that we can look at, I think the commission would love to look at it. There's no doubt about it, and certainly we want to be able to maximize, and some of those, what they call it, is it eternity pools? Where they just put
Infinity pool.
infinity pool. Those are some of the things that we should be looking at. So I think that, staff needs to give us some recommendations so that we can look at it. And I know there's funding through, probably through FERDAP and, other possibilities.
Mayor, if I may.
But we can't make that decision here just off the top of our head.
Another thing that I say, that when we combine both of them, and there's a lot of waste at that water park, there's no doubt, we're wasting a lot of water. But you probably make it up. That lifeguard now can come over too and monitor the spray park to make sure that, you have a lot of, I have a lot, Commissioner, I see a lot of when I go by there 100 times a day, the lifeguards are all together having a good conversation a lot of the time. They can be split up. I mean, you don't need 4 or 5 lifeguards to make sure the kids, but they can go over there and check. I can guarantee you they can go and check the spray pad, make sure that there's kids, the water's not running, and there's nobody there. I mean,
Well, you need a gate.
you got to get
too,
creative. When you're in a situation that we're in, we got to get creative. I mean, is it ideal? No. But I think I'm with the mayor. I go through there all the time, Al, and I see a lot of time the water running. I've said it through the years, and nobody's using the park.
So
That's money going down the drain.
now that
all
we've
day long.
isolated the budget on its own, and we're looking at these numbers, I think that, Al, if you can come back to us with some short-term, I think just even for right now, since we're keeping the pool clean, if we have lifeguards, let's look at some hours. Let's try some ideas of closing the splash pad while the pool is open, over the next, month and a half, 2 months, and see what happens. And monitor those timers. Sean, if you can check those timers, since obviously they're not shutting off when they're supposed to be. Maybe some days they do, I don't know. Could be just a glitch, but if we could look at that, and then we could discuss it, hopefully before the end of the.
Yeah, maybe there's some other kind of timers we can look at to when the splash pad's going to be busy, that it comes on for 5 minutes, then it goes off for 10, 15 minutes. Then it goes on for 5 minutes, and it goes back
on and
off.
Yeah.
And just enough time where everybody doesn't leave, but gives them enough water to enjoy it.
And
Maybe
then
you
the other
could-
thing,
that way, there's got to be something out there like that.
Do we have it posted for a certain age? Because I know this has happened years ago. We saw a lot of teenagers in there, and there was little kids in there, and so I'm just concerned with, to me it's for kids, not for almost adults to be in there.
Well, that's another reason you can police it if you have gates that are locked.
All right.
And
So I
you
don't know
got-
if we have any signage up. This is a
Signs-
kiddie splash
There's no
park.
age restrictions.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
When you rent it, there are signs up, but there are no age restrictions.
Okay.
And when you rent it for a birthday party, moms and dads, grandparents, everybody's gonna.
Well, sure. I mean, that's,
Yeah, and a little birthday party's a little bit different than I
Exactly.
think, because they're, you have it, they're there. I'm just thinking, when you see adult-sized people in there splashing around with little ones, so, I don't think it was mom and dad in there with them either. So, okay. All right, so Al, you guys will come back with some recommendations for us to look at. Okay. Sherry, was there anything else on that?
There is not.
Shy?
Not if you don't have any more questions.
And you guys are gonna look at grants as well. I know we did years ago.
This is my first time fiddling with this one. so
Sure.
I-
Sure, I think it's great that, fresh ideas and maybe some opportunities for the future. Okay, Sherry?
And the last set that we have to go over that we have not covered is our administrative departments. If you'd like, it should be in the folder. The first page is actually a legal sheet.
Okay.
Because I have them all included on one page. And again, that would be our city commission, our city manager, the general government, which is typically a miscellaneous department, and our finance.
Okay.
So if you look at the city commission, you'll notice the budget last year was $243,917, and we're proposing this year $265,345. And the reasoning for that, as you can see, it has to do with the benefits. At this time, because it is an election year, we just planned for if we did utilize the benefits. We do have some commissioners, every commissioner that comes on, they have the opportunity to select the benefits. They have health insurance, dental, and there's also a life insurance policy. So we just prepared the budget for if something like that happens, and we added, and that would be selected. So that's the difference. That's the only difference in your city commission budget.
how much is the life insurance policy?
How much is it?
Yeah.
Well, it would vary on someone's age. It's actually $160,000, the life insurance policy for the period that the commission is on. And we do have commissioners who choose to not participate in some of the benefits, or none of them, or some of them. And I can't tell you because it would vary. It goes by whatever your age is. And we just kind of guesstimated.
Okay. All right, Sherry, that was the first item.
Yes. And I don't know if you want to go through every one or just look at the bottom line, since they're kind of all, we do have included in here, as we had last year, the 2% merit.
Good.
because in the city manager's budget, there's really nothing to note. It's basically the same except for, again, Thursday is when we actually have our insurance, our openings for our insurance. And we hopefully, staff will bring back to you on the meeting of August the 20th, Monday. We will have our recommendation for our health and our property and casualty. And of course, we will certainly revise these amounts that we see, that we have included. And any overage would go into the contingency that we have. But in the city manager's budget, you'll see there is an increase there, and that's basically the insurance that we planned for. And every year initially when we start our budget preparation, it is an estimate at first, and then we have our numbers and we had revised. This year it's just a little bit later, simply because we actually did go out for RFPs, which will be opened on the packets that we sent out. We will receive them on this Thursday, on the 16th, and open them, and then hopefully we will have a recommendation. Mr. Perry will bring you a recommendation Monday.
Okay.
Okay.
We have the same, I said we have a merit increase in there. The 2% is what we planned, that we've done for the last several years. And not everyone will get that, and that's just an estimation. The 24 hours are included. We've also actually included the same amount of money for the frozen defined benefit, even though we anticipate, as Gloria Rosen said, that it would be a little bit lower. We have $85,400 budgeted for our frozen defined benefit, and right now that is being paid with the money that has been set aside for the employee pension. We use those funds every year for that. And then also, the significant changes that we see are actually in our finance department. I have included in the contractual services. If you'll look, it should be the last line on top in the set of numbers that you have, where it says 1031 finance. If you'll go across, I actually have the proposed on top and the previous on the bottom. And again, as you guys know, the detail is all in the back. So if you have any questions, or if you want to stop and you want to drill down further, please stop me. But if you'll note, in our contractual services, I have $5,000 in finance that I requested last year. I have not used that, but it's in there because we do have goals in mind that to further our software program. So I kept that in, but I have also added an additional $10,000 this year that is very, very vital, because I am getting word that our audit firm that has done the audit for us for several years, I don't have anything in writing, but I have been told that they will not, more than likely, that they're not going to, we're going to go out for RFP for our auditing firm, and that they won't be part of them. So it is extremely important to me, I feel like, if we could get some kind of financial consulting, and that number came up for me. I just wanted a certain amount of money that would be set aside, simply because it is going to be a huge transition, and I would like the opportunity to be able to work with if it's not going to happen, possibly with our current accounting firm that handles it. Simply because for
That'd be a
me,
one-time thing
Right.
for 1 year, just
Okay.
for the transition to the new firm, if it happens.
and so for me, I feel that it's very vital that this is an opportunity for us to make huge, not have to do a whole bunch of research, which is what we've just not had the opportunity. Not that our financials are not accurate, it's just, we've talked about that before. It is in the audit, and it says that,
To have the financial statements.
right, to
Okay.
have it perfected. And I see that as an opportunity, and it's huge. For me, it's very huge, I feel like. And
Okay.
Are you going over the capital stuff now? Is that what you?
No, we're looking over our administrative departments, and
Okay.
we're on the 1031.
Okay, Sherry, so you have the contractual services, and then you've added again, the request for financial consulting service at
Yes.
10,000.
So I've increased that. The significant factor there is I've always had the 5,000 there because I feel like it's very important to have that money available, funding available to deal with the software company when we want to utilize some of our software capabilities, when we want to increase it, and we do have goals that we do want to increase. We've had them for a couple years, and I just really want that to be there. We're hoping to improve our payroll processing. There's a number of things that I would like to do to be able to use the software, to use it to its fullest. And you have to have some that's above and beyond your normal maintenance, software maintenance, and it just is important to me to have that money there.
Okay.
And that's only what it's used for. And also, I'm pointing out the differences, as you'll see. I have some staff revisions in finance that I'm asking for. Kathy, of course, is the city clerk, and she has been going and getting her certification. That's actually included in the city manager. I'm sorry, but the finance department. What we hope to do in the next coming year is, as you guys know, we're going to utilize. We have a staff member that we're going to use from another department, part-time, for half of the work week, and we're getting, as you know, we have one staff member that's leaving.
Right.
So we've kind of talked about it because we want to start getting some things done, and we want to move our finance department, our duties around, and see if we can try and get them to work. So I have included in here for the extra duties. We have a person, one of our staff members, that we would like to give additional funding for, which the cost of that to give them like 2 or 3 steps is $1,921, I believe, and that's simply for Kathy to get some relief whenever she's not here and on vacation. Somebody that would step in for her. It's been very difficult for me for me to be here and to help Kathy with
Right.
minutes when she's on vacation or when she's not, when she has a full plate.
Sure, so we're looking at cross-training somebody.
Yes,
and that
we're
cost
looking
of
at cross-training.
Okay.
We actually have Laurie Lindsay, as you know, she's our also a longtime staff member here that I hope to move her to like the deputy clerk position where she would literally maybe take over the golf course minutes and some items like that. And we would incorporate her and Kathy would share the personnel duties, the human resources, because we have really, that's taken up a lot of Kathy's time. And so it's just trying to get more efficient in that area when Kathy does have a full plate, because it seems to come in, nothing is spread out, and it's very difficult for me, I think, to go ahead and start doing things that we want to do,
Right. Finance.
for efficiency
Okay.
with our accounting. And
It's not easy. It's difficult when your finance director can't take her vacation and just
No,
is
we know
working
that.
weekends constantly, and it's difficult. So
And we certainly appreciate all your efforts.
Absolutely.
But you're right. I think cross-training is certainly the thing that needs to be done,
Just-
and backup for everybody.
yeah,
So-
just to remind the board, when Mr. Ted Bird left, he was replaced. Well, of course, by Sherry, but Sherry's replacement was a green employee that knew nothing, just a fresh employee out of school, and so we lost a lot of knowledge that we had, and we're trying to share resources where we can be more efficient up here, where we can possibly get back to where we need to be. So
Okay.
Mr. Perry has been talking to me some about that, and this is just something that I've talked and brought in Kathy, because we work together, and we figured out that if we change some of our duties over, we will, and as you know, we've got the additional staff person that's going to be helping us out part of the time.
Right.
So we just want to, we feel like we could move the other person over and try to get as efficient, we feel like that'll be beneficial.
Good, I think so.
We've got
That's
some
good.
ideas, and we've got our, something that's very important to us, right off the bat. I've got, and I've got them noted also, some goals that we want to get approved as a staff, and one of those is our fixed assets. We could do a way much better job than that. We have them with what we do. We have our software capability right now. That is something that we're really going to work towards this year accomplishing, and we're going to start it. I mean, we've just been, it's been very difficult over the last few months. But that is a long-range goal, but it's something that over the course of this fiscal year, that for me and the rest of our staff, that we're really going to take care of. And what that means is, in our system, I want to get all of our autos, all of our property. Hurricane Irma happening, that's been a learning experience on my part, because I now know the significance of keeping up with property in the open, in which we do keep up with it, but we've got the capability with our software. If we invest the time in there, we can pull reports. We can isolate the golf course. We can know exactly, hey, we've got 9 rain shelters, or we've got this, and we can do that right here in the accounting department, and we don't have to rely, on this person's spreadsheet and this person's handwritten list that's in a file somewhere. So that's something that's is critical for us to get done.
That's good.
And also, as you know, we have been dealing with a lot of grants, and that's all time. It takes a lot of time to deal with them. We've got a lot of things on the burner, and it's hard for me to go back and do some of the things that I have been trying
Your goals,
to
yeah.
do.
Well, and I know that the grants are time consuming, but as you know, because we've talked about it, that we do benefit from them. So I know that Lynn's been talking to, I guess you and Lynn talked to the EDC about helping us out with some of the grant processes and all that. So hopefully going forward, there might be some additional help there.
Right, and that's, I basically don't, write the grants or what have you, but no matter who you get, when
The
we come at the
monitoring,
end of the day,
sure.
when we come in here, at least in my experience has been, you guys look at me and you ask if the financial information is right, and I don't feel comfortable if if I'm not going to say yes if it's not.
Right.
Right.
And
you don't
I,
want you to.
no matter who does it, they end up calling anyway.
Sure.
They end up calling us,
Mayor.
calling me
Absolutely.
with
It
some
has to do with the dollars.
explanations.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
Alan, Sherry, I'm 100% on board on this. I've been through those department. I think we've always ran that, and it's a very important. I mean, that's where our numbers come out of. That's our administration, and
And Sherry needs time
don't
for
be
vacation.
don't vacations and all that, but don't be shocked. But I've always thought that area has been always a little bit understaffed, and I like the cross training. Trying to bring in. I think we bring in from the recreation. Help me out,
Joanna?
Joanna over, and it's 3 or 4 or 5 hours. She's going to learn. She's going to get a lot of knowledge from Sherry. She there. During the day, I don't know how much work is, how many reservations he's making them, but I think I've had conversations with Sherry on it too. I've always said that, I like to see that department a little staffed a little better, so we can do a better job.
Yeah, we're going to try. I can tell you from an administration point of view, it's not a healthy path that we're on right now. Somebody's going to get burnt out.
Well,
It's just not going to maintain.
well, and we want to get the job done. That's the thing.
Sure.
It's not only that; it's we getting the ideas and
Right. But
that
as Sherry,
she has.
right,
That's
right.
the thing.
Yeah, and like Sherry said, by being able to have the time to look at the software capabilities and what's available there, in the future, it will pay out by having that, the resources to having it all in one system.
Well, that's why we do, and we're very hesitant, and I personally am very, I know what our resources are here, and I know, of course, we would like a lot more staffing in a lot of other departments, not just our department. But I have talked with the staff, and we did talk because we knew that we were going to come in here and we were going to ask for something, and we do feel as a staff in the next fiscal year, what's important is for us to really get together as a group and focus on the efficiencies and utilize the technology. And we felt like with the long-term staff member that I'm talking about, they have a lot, and it's experience. It's nothing against anyone else. It's just that we felt like that they could be so much more, utilized so much more in a different fashion, that they could help Kathy. Because I feel bad too. It's not only me, but it is that a lot of times with your personnel, she's got a full plate more than she can deal with sometimes, dealing with the budget, the commission minutes as well. And so we want this person to, move on up and take a little bit of that responsibility in that aspect, because we really feel like they are capable of doing that.
Okay, great.
And
Good news to me.
and focus on because that way, if they're able to do that, then we can meet together as a staff and focus on the efficiency of the operation of our actual
To meet some of the goals that you'd
the
like to see done.
processes that we are doing, and there are some things that I feel like can be done better, the processes themselves, but we've got to be able to have that person that has the experience be able to focus on, you work on the process, and let somebody else, sit to actually do the job while we're focusing on the process and making the process better.
Right.
So that's what our goals are.
Sounds good.
Good goals.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, our TIF payment and our CRA expansion, with our property values increasing, that has increased a lot. So that is, you'll notice that information as well. It's on the sheet.
You're not projecting anything going into the CRA this year, are you?
Well, actually, we do. We have two CRAs. We have our CRA, and then we have our CRA expansion. And we did realize funding this year in the CRA expansion.
The Hampton is in the
No,
expansion?
sir, not in the expansion.
What is the appraisal for the city?
237 million, I believe. A little over that. We discussed that at another meeting, and I've got the information right here at my fingertips.
Which CRA is the Hampton in? Or
It would be
the original?
in the original, and the original right now did not receive.
I guess 'cause it has to be finished first.
Buying mine going in next year
Yeah.
Yes.
on the tax roll.
That should be a good little hit.
Right, but our CRA expansion will realize, depending upon the millage, now we do have this budget built on the fact that we kept it at and we'll get to that in a moment, but the budget our proposed budget has been built utilizing the 6.5314. So if it remained at that point, the CRA expansion will realize $10,581 from the city this year, and previous year is $2,032. And then, of course, the county has to pay their millage. We receive CRA funding from them as well.
And how much is it?
Well, it would basically be their millage. Let's see.
What is
Last
that?
year it was like 2,500, wasn't it? Same thing. Yeah.
What is that? What is that due to? growth, or have we had some growth that's in the old? You said the
assessments?
Hampton's not in there yet, right?
No.
Property values and
Couple houses built.
Yeah,
Homes and
assessments.
property value.
Yeah,
I
property
was trying to
values going
figure
up.
out that myself, because that would be kind of like the Francisco area, and we'll get that, the next meeting that we'll have, I'll get Travis to get a map for me again.
That'll
But
be
the
like my house,
CRA,
Pedro's house,
you could
Brenda's.
utilize for
Brenda's.
the improvement of the
Oh yeah, Brenda, Mickey.
blight, to help fight the blight and what
Right,
have you.
sure, sure. Sounds good.
So we'll
Okay,
have
so
that
the
one at our
next
next meeting when we
Okay.
talk about it, and we'll make sure we have that. We had it last year, but we'll make sure we get the map again that has the CRA boundaries and what that expansion is.
Okay.
I guess we have to get the CRA activated again as we get funds in there, right?
Right,
Because they
we'll have,
it's been
we have
kind
a
of-
facade, I mean.
No,
we
it
get-
is active.
Yeah.
I mean, the
With other
people, trying to get the
meetings.
people,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. And we talked about coming back to a for a workshop for all of us back on the Main Street corridor. I know we had one in just overall issues with blight in March, but we still have that Main Street corridor plan that was developed, and I know Lynn, and we have those maps and all that. So that's all kind of superimposed on the CRA anyway. So, you know, we could look at that time. Okay. Just trying to get through the budget first. And then
Right,
we'll
but
come
we
back at-
will have
Yeah,
some
that's-
funding, in my opinion,
Yeah.
available that you will be able to do something with
Yeah, I
that.
just had general questions.
Facade or
Mine-
blight, yeah, absolutely, it's a good point.
I didn't want, I just want to
Okay.
see where we're at.
All right. Anything else on the CRA?
Not tonight.
Okay.
I will,
All right. And on the administrative departments, what's the next step that you have?
if
that
you
it?
don't- If you don't have any questions, or if you don't want to go into detail any further, I've pointed out the differences.
Okay,
In our operating budgets that you see. Those are the main
right,
differences.
okay. And you have
And-
additional information here for us to, the
Yes.
September, the revenues and the expenses?
Right, well, what I'd like to get to next, and I did not, I do have the detail available. I did not, I can get that to you. The detail explanation, the pages that have the revenues that are detailed out, I can go ahead and get those to you tomorrow. But I do have the sheet if you want to start with that, with our revenues.
Sure.
And our proposed general fund budget. I do have a sheet in here that has it's a set of sheets, the proposed general fund revenues, which would be, of course, the sum of that would be our budget, but it's $8,027,963. It's basically an 18% decrease from last year. Last year was
Sorry, what page are we on?
$9,508,711.
I'm sorry.
Page 5 of the fund
Page 5 of
revenues.
this page?
Yes, sir. If
Last
you
page.
look at that, I'm just going over the total.
I got you.
And the
And the
difference is,
difference is that I don't have the police department grant budgeted in the the proposed. The Trinidad grant is the only grant that I have budgeted in the proposed fiscal year 2019. And as we know, $50,000 of that's an actual grant, and then the $56,000 we have to supply. So it's represents Trinidad Park. It's a FERDAP grant, and it represents $106,000. So that's basically the whole reason that you see the 18% decrease.
Is it because you closed out that grant already, or you closed it?
The
or-
police department, I believe that I did not budget for it. If it were not to complete, I could do an amendment, but I really feel sure by the end of September that you guys would be done.
okay,
I mean, I could always put it back in, but I didn't really feel, I felt like we would be, yeah.
perfect.
I did include an additional sheet that had the state revenue on it so that you could see.
Yeah, the
Because
fiscal
I don't know
comparison.
to what degree you want to go through the revenues. The sheet that I have included with our state revenue, because we have all of our estimates that we receive from the state. They're in and they're included in this budget. And you'll see you've got your local option gas taxes, your discretionary tax, all of those included together. They're going to generate $90,406 in revenue.
Okay, an additional
Is
amount. Yeah.
Additional, they are
The
anticipating.
5% increase.
Yes, they are, those are, aside from our ad valorem taxes, as you know, this is the bulk of the revenues
Okay.
that run the general fund, that operate, that support it. So I do have that for you to see. I also have the departmental expenses by department on one sheet if you want to look over, for your use. It's kind of beneficial for you to see everything compared to last year. You also have a set, just like you do revenue of the proposed budget with the 17, 18, and 19 beside each other. And for your review as well, if you have any questions once you go over that and you see something that you don't have and that you want, if you would let me know. And then also included in your packet after that, which we've discussed at every workshop that we've talked about, is the sheet where we have what I call the other expenses, the requests that we've included or that we've asked for, or that directors have asked for during their budget workshops,
Right.
that are aside from your normal operating, from what it takes to actually run the city. If you would like to go over that sheet, that's what we were prepared to do today, because I don't know if you find this sheet.
See, there's strike-throughs on there that shows what was removed as recent as last Thursday.
So what I did is met with the city manager, and based upon what was said during our budget workshops, and also
Yeah.
basically his ideas and what he felt.
This is what I remember the board wanted us to look into trying to do to the best of our ability.
Right.
Now, as you're reviewing this, you can see what was struck and what was left in there. Now, I would say that the way we were able to balance, as it sits right now, is we had to take the recreation director's position out of the budget. We may be able to put that back in, possibly, at a lesser amount down the road, but as of now, that's where we sit.
I got one question,
Okay.
which Sean done left. The paint sprayer for the striping. I know he said if he had that, he could really utilize it.
Mm-hmm.
And I seen somewhere there was $2,000 in for striping, for paying somebody to stripe the road. If we spend that $5,700, will we save money at the end of the year on the next paving budget and pay for this piece of equipment?
I'll have
You
to
know,
ask
if
Sean
we
for you.
put it back in,
Right. I know that, and tonight we don't have to do. This is not the final list. We can still look at it and come
Yes.
back. Okay.
I just wanted to see where
I
you
have
are
a
today.
question that Michael brought up. Okay, the $2,000 that we got for street markings update at $2,000. You said it's supported by the local option gas tax, but the sprayer would not be included. Could not be support.
It would be.
Okay.
It would. I'm
Okay.
sorry about that. I know there's been a big push for the paving to be increased.
Right. Absolutely.
And just to put it in perspective, because we've talked about this before, about how our gas taxes are like $320-something thousand, the local option, and then you have your new local option, which goes towards paving, and it's about $65,000. And we've talked about what those can be utilized to support. And as we know, they do. They support our street department. But this year, the commission, what our feeling was from you guys is get more paving done.
Right.
And so we have increased that budget. And this,
Well,
and it's in here, and it's we've asked for $100,000 extra in our paving between our project, what we typically do is like what we call our street project for the year. It's it has been 120 because of the economy that we went through. So we're increasing that to 200,000, and then we're also adding $20,000 into our road materials, which is
Hotspot,
for the hotspot paving. So to put that in perspective, just so you know, we already know we fund and we support our street department. But if you'll look at your taxes, which I know it doesn't have anything to do, only the local option has to do with funding it. But if we talk about what our revenue stream, what has increased this year, we just got finished saying that our state revenue sharing, it's anticipated that we're going to gain $90,406 from that. The local option gas taxes, that represents about $13,500 of that, and we're increasing our funding for the street. That's our extras in here, over $100,000.
We're only getting $13,000 extra, but we're
Yes, I
increasing it
just
by
wanted to bring that
100,000.
to light, that we are
Okay.
more than, we are utilizing those funds for what they are, but we are also, when we talk about being able to take care of our infrastructure, which that's one of the main things to take care, that you want to take care of is your roads. And the street markings are, that's part of the street department.
Okay.
And he
So-
did asked for that a little extra because he said that he wanted to revise the street signs.
Right. Okay, so it's not, when you say street, so it might not be street markings, it's actual signage, you think? Because this says street
Yes.
markings update.
Well, he calls it street markings, but it's the street signs themselves.
Okay.
There's some street signs that he wants to,
Yeah, this isn't final. This will move around some. We've got some dock repairs that we may be able to pull from the boater improvement funds.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I think we got, what was it, $4,500 last year for boating improvement funds?
For the overlay.
Right.
what was
No,
actually
for
20, the paving was paid with boater improvement funds at the boat basin. The boat basin, the paving part of the west boat basin project was $29,223. And it just so happened that they had already, the county, that being they, had already approved a little over $23,000 previously, and we went back as a staff and asked them, because if there was additional funds available, we wanted to make sure that we could get those if we could, and that's what happened. So we received in one fiscal year the $23,000, and then we came back and got the $4,000. But together it represents that $29,223.
Okay, so that's a boater improvement fund. I noticed one of the things that I do want to ask about is the cameras for the facility. I know that the county funds that at 50%. So I know we're making final decisions here, but if there's $5,000 that comes back for boater improvement for those floating dock repairs, I really would like to see about those cameras
Sure.
out there at the animal control. I think it's for everybody's safety.
Just
That it should be
I'd be glad to
consider.
do
And then, as Michael said about the paint sprayer, maybe ask Sean that question, if whatever we're spending this year,
Well, I would like to see, even if we took the $5,700 out of the 80, and then Sean knows that his department's going to do all the striping from here on out, so he puts somebody in the backyard and they practice. They practice here in City Hall, striping.